Have you ever felt like the weight of everything is pressing down on your chest, making it hard to even breathe? That quiet pressure that no one else can see, the kind that keeps you awake at night while your mind runs in endless circles. You try to hold everything together, you smile in front of others, you tell yourself to stay strong, but deep inside you're exhausted, not just tired, but soul tired. And no matter how hard you try, the pieces just don't seem to fit. In moments like this that you start to believe you have to carry it all alone. But what if the truth is, you were never meant to? Every time you try to fix everything by your own strength, you unknowingly build a wall between your heart and peace. You replay the same fears, the same what-ifs, the same pain, as if repeating it will change the outcome. But all it does is tighten the chains around your spirit. The more you try to control everything, the heavier it gets. That's why your heart aches. That's why the silence feels loud. You're trying to hold what was never meant to rest on your shoulders. And that pressure isn't a punishment. It's a signal, a quiet whisper, telling you to stop fighting battles that aren't yours to win alone. There is a turning point in every storm when holding on becomes heavier than letting go. When your strength begins to break under the weight of things you cannot control, that's when something sacred happens. It's not weakness to release it, it's power. It's the moment your hands unclench and faith takes the place of fear. The moment your heart whispers, God, I can't do this on my own, something shifts. Because that's when the battle stops being yours and starts becoming His. You don't have to see the outcome to know it's being worked out. You don't have to understand the silence to trust that it holds purpose. When you release control, you make space for miracles, you make space for peace. You make space for the kind of strength that doesn't come from trying harder, but from trusting deeper. The weight you feel isn't a sign you've failed. It's a sign you've reached the edge of your own power. And that's exactly where divine strength begins. Right now, as you listen, something in you already knows this truth. You weren't built to carry everything. You were built to trust. You were built to let go. You were built to walk through storms without breaking, because you're not walking alone. And if you stay until the end of this message, you'll remember something the weight made you forget. God is already working it out for you, in silence, in strength, and in ways you can't yet see. All He's waiting for is your release. Silence can feel like the loudest sound in the world when your heart is desperate for an answer. It makes you question everything. You start to wonder if your prayers were even heard, if your tears mattered, if your faith was enough. The quiet stretches on, and with every passing moment, your mind fills in the gaps with fear. It whispers lies, telling you that silence means you've been forgotten, that nothing is moving, that your hope was misplaced. But silence is not abandonment. It's not a locked door. It's the sacred space where unseen work is unfolding. There is power hidden in what you cannot hear. When nothing seems to change on the surface, everything is shifting beneath it. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's empty. The most important growth always happens in the dark, away from your sight, beyond your understanding. What looks like stillness is actually movement. What feels like a pause is preparation. The silence is not here to break you. It's here to build you, to teach you to trust without conditions, to strengthen the part of you that cannot be shaken when everything else is. The human heart craves answers because answers feel safe. But faith isn't built in certainty. It's built in trust. Silence strips away distractions. It forces your soul to face the truth that trust is not about what you see, but who you believe is working behind the scenes. It's in these quiet seasons that your faith becomes real. Not the kind of faith spoken when everything is easy, but the kind that holds steady when nothing makes sense. This is where your spirit grows roots strong enough to withstand any storm. Every unanswered prayer, every quiet night, every breathless moment of waiting has purpose. Nothing in silence is wasted. It's molding your heart to release control and rest in the assurance that something greater is moving on your behalf. Silence is the sound of alignment, not distance. It's where the universe rearranges pieces, where battles are won before they're ever seen, where blessings are prepared before they ever arrive. The silence you feel right now is not evidence that you are alone. It's proof that the process is still unfolding. The blessing is not delayed because you're unworthy. It's delayed because it's being perfected. What's forming in the quiet is stronger than what could ever be rushed. When your heart finally accepts that silence is not your enemy, something inside you settles. The noise of fear loses its grip. The pressure of time weakens. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to trust differently. You realize that the quiet is not against you. It's working for you. And one day, what was once silent will speak loudly through the beauty of everything that finally falls into place. Trusting what you cannot see is one of the hardest things you will ever learn. Yet it's also the key that unlocks everything your heart is searching for. Your mind craves proof because it wants safety. It wants guarantees. It wants to know how everything will work out before it dares to let go. But faith doesn't work like that. Trust begins where sight ends. It is choosing to believe that even when the path disappears beneath your feet, something greater is still holding you up. This is not blind hope. This is unshakable strength born from surrender. When you trust what you can't see, you silence the lies that say everything depends on you. You step out of the prison of constant control and into the peace that comes from knowing you are not alone in this. Control creates pressure. Trust creates freedom. Fear tries to convince you that if you don't hold everything tightly, it will all fall apart. But what if everything falls into place the moment you finally let go? What if the breakthrough you've been begging for has been waiting on the other side of your surrender? The human heart is strongest when it releases the need to know and embraces the power of believing. Trust doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what's not yours. It means you allow life to unfold at its own divine pace without forcing it into your own. The silence that once felt unbearable becomes the ground where your faith grows. The uncertainty that once terrified you becomes the space where miracles are born. The lack of control becomes the proof that something bigger is moving in your favor. Trust is not passive. It's active courage. It's a daily choice to walk forward without answers, to keep breathing even when you can't see the way, to keep believing even when nothing around you looks like it's working. That kind of trust shakes fear at its core, because fear feeds on doubt, but trust starves it. When you choose trust, you declare that what's unseen is more real than what's visible. You anchor your hope not in shifting circumstances, but in unwavering faith. You may not see how it's coming together. You may not feel progress in this moment, but beneath the silence, everything is being arranged with precision. Every delay is aligning timing. Every closed door is making space for the right one to open. Every unanswered question is shaping the foundation of something extraordinary. When you learn to trust without needing to see, your heart stops fighting the process and starts resting in it. And in that rest, something powerful happens. Peace takes root, fear loses its grip, and what once felt impossible begins to unfold effortlessly. When everything feels uncertain, patience becomes the greatest act of strength. Waiting is not a punishment. It is a sacred process that shapes your heart to hold what's coming. The silence, the delays, the stillness, they are not empty spaces. They are the foundation of something meaningful being built in the unseen. Patience does not mean standing still with fear. It means standing firm with faith. It means trusting the timing you cannot control, knowing that what's meant for you is not lost, not forgotten, not denied. It's simply not finished yet. The world often tells you that waiting is wasted time, but in truth, waiting is where transformation happens. This is where your character grows deeper than your fear. This is where your faith grows louder than your doubt. This is where your heart learns that strength isn't found in rushing to the finish line, but in resting while the process unfolds. The wait is not delaying your purpose. It's preparing your capacity to receive it. What's being built for you requires patience, because real things take time to grow, and the strongest blessings never come in haste. Every moment of waiting is molding you. Every quiet night is shaping your endurance. Every unanswered question is chiseling away the parts of you that once clung to fear. The wait teaches you to let go of your timeline and embrace divine timing. It reminds you that you don't need to control every step for it to work out. You only need to trust that it already is. Patience is not weakness, it's quiet strength. It's choosing peace when everything around you says panic. It's choosing hope when everything inside you screams hurry. The waiting room of life is not a place of delay. It's a place of preparation. The silence is filling you with clarity you didn't know you needed. The pauses are building resilience you didn't know you carried. The quiet is stretching your faith to believe in what's bigger than the moment. Waiting teaches your soul to walk by trust, not by sight. It is the birthplace of maturity, the space where fragile hope turns into unshakable belief. What's forming in this season is too great to be rushed. That's why you're being asked to wait. The delay isn't denial, it's refinement, it's alignment, it's everything being positioned so that when the door opens, it doesn't just open halfway, it opens fully. Patience is proof that you believe even when you can't see. It's proof that your faith is stronger than your fear. It's proof that your heart is ready to receive what it's been waiting for. And when the silence finally breaks, you will understand why the waiting had to happen exactly as it did. There is a strength that only grows in the shadows, in the places where no one can see the battle except you and the one who is fighting it with you. This quiet strength is not loud. It doesn't shout for attention. It's built in the stillness, shaped by waiting, and formed in the moments when giving up seems easier than holding on. The silence is not a sign that nothing is happening. It's a sign that something powerful is being built beneath the surface, something that will only be revealed when the time is right. In every silent season, a deeper kind of resilience is born. Not the kind that depends on perfect circumstances, but the kind that endures storms and stands unshaken when everything around you shifts. This strength is not given to those who rush through the process. It's formed in those who choose to trust even when their heart is tired. It grows in those who keep breathing through the heaviness, who keep believing in the unseen, who keep standing even when their legs shake. This strength doesn't announce itself, but when it finally reveals its power, nothing can break it. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, but it is actually construction. It's the building of foundations that can't be shaken by fear. It's the shaping of a heart that can carry the weight of blessings without collapsing under pressure. It's where you learn that your strength doesn't come from fighting everything alone, but from trusting that you are carried through what you can't control. In silence, your faith stretches, your spirit sharpens, your soul learns to be still, even when everything around you demands noise. The moments where nothing seems to be happening are the exact moments when everything is being prepared. The quiet is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's teaching you to stand without proof, to trust without signs, to believe without conditions. It's showing you that real power isn't found in constant movement, but in unwavering stillness. The strength you gain in these seasons becomes the foundation that holds your future steady. And when the storm finally clears, it won't just be your breakthrough that shines. It will be the strength that was built in the silence. When you finally see the result of what's been forming beneath the surface, you'll understand why the silence lasted as long as it did. You'll realize it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It wasn't delay. It was divine design. The quiet seasons don't break you. They make you unshakable. They strip away the noise so you can hear the quiet power of faith. They remove the clutter so you can see clearly. What feels hidden now is not lost. It's being fortified, strengthened, and made ready to rise. The moment you decide to stop forcing outcomes is the moment everything begins to shift. Control feels safe because it creates an illusion of certainty. But that illusion is what keeps your soul in chains. You keep trying to make things happen on your timeline, in your way, through your strength. But every time you tighten your grip, peace slips further away. The truth is, what's meant for you will never require you to fight against the flow of divine timing. It will come when it's ready, not when your fear demands it. Letting go is not losing power. It's reclaiming it in the most profound way. When you let go, the pressure to understand everything dissolves. You no longer carry the weight of what's not yours to control. You stop exhausting your energy trying to fix what only God can align. Control drains your spirit, but surrender revives it. It allows your heart to rest even when the answers haven't arrived. It opens the door to possibilities that were blocked by your need to hold everything together. The silence stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a safe place. A place where trust breathes and faith grows stronger. There's a quiet kind of confidence that rises when you stop fighting battles that aren't yours. It's the calm that comes from knowing you don't have to figure it all out. It's the strength that appears when you finally trust that the unseen is already working in your favor. Control creates tension. Surrender creates space. Space for peace, for clarity, for divine alignment. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you trust enough to step back and let what's meant for you find its way. This is where real strength is born. Not in holding on tighter, but in opening your hands and allowing what's meant to flow. The weight that once felt unbearable starts to lift. The noise that once consumed your thoughts begins to fade. And in its place, stillness arrives. Not a forced stillness, but a natural one. A stillness that knows the battle isn't yours to fight. It's the stillness that carries power, the kind that can't be shaken by circumstances or delayed timing. When your heart releases the need to control, it becomes free to receive. The blessings that felt distant begin to align. The doors that seemed locked start to open. The path that once felt uncertain starts to reveal itself step by step. Trust begins to outweigh fear. Peace begins to rise where pressure used to live. This is the quiet victory of surrender. It doesn't shout, it doesn't force. It simply aligns everything at the perfect time. And in that moment, you realize that letting go was never losing. It was always the key. There is a kind of peace that comes when you finally stop running after what's already being prepared for you. It's the quiet strength that replaces the restlessness you once carried in your chest. For so long, your heart has tried to force doors open, chase after answers, and hold together what was always meant to unfold naturally. But the truth is, nothing that belongs to you will ever miss you. What's meant for you does not need to be chased. It only needs to be received at the right time. This is why trust matters more than constant striving. Trust lifts the weight that fear built. Trust makes space for grace to move. Every time you let go of control, you create room for divine alignment to do what your hands never could. What looks like silence isn't stillness, it's a process unfolding perfectly. The things that seem delayed are not forgotten. They are simply being arranged in ways your eyes can't yet comprehend. Your part is not to push harder. Your part is to stay grounded in trust, to believe when nothing is visible, to rest in the assurance that you will not miss what is meant to find you. Peace does not come from everything making sense. Peace comes from knowing that even when nothing makes sense, you are still being guided. Even in silence, the path is being laid out before you. Even in stillness, what's yours is being shaped with precision. There is no need to fear being overlooked. There is no need to panic over timing. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right where you are meant to be in this moment, and this moment is not empty. It is working for you. When you stop chasing, you learn to stand still and trust the unfolding. And in that stillness, your heart softens. Your breath deepens. The noise quiets. The frantic urgency dissolves into calm assurance. You no longer beg the future to reveal itself. You simply trust that it will. What's meant for you will meet you without you having to break yourself to reach it. This is not weakness. This is strength in its purest form. The strength of surrender, the power of trust. Letting go of the chase allows you to step into alignment. It's in this alignment that blessings flow freely, not through force, but through timing. Every closed door, every silent delay, every unseen shift is part of a design that favors you. There is no reason to fear what you can't see, because what you can't see is already being shaped with your name on it. The more you trust the process, the lighter you become. The lighter you become, the more freely everything aligns. And when it arrives, it won't feel forced. It will feel inevitable. The moment your heart truly accepts that what is meant for you will find its way, a deep stillness begins to settle inside. Not the kind of stillness born from giving up, but the kind that rises from unwavering trust. It's the calm that whispers, I don't need to fight to be chosen. I don't need to prove to be worthy. I don't need to control to be safe. This is where inner peace is born. Not in the noise of endless striving, but in the quiet confidence that your steps are guided even when you cannot see the path. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but trust silences fear without needing answers. When you stop chasing, your soul finally has the space to breathe. The future no longer feels like a heavy weight pressing on your chest. It begins to feel like an unfolding journey, one that was written with care long before your doubts ever appeared. You don't need to rush what's already on its way. You don't need to question timing that was never yours to control. When you learn to rest in that truth, anxiety loses its grip and clarity begins to rise. Everything that's meant for you is moving toward you in perfect alignment, even when you cannot sense it. The silence you're walking through is not proof of delay, it's proof of divine precision. What's meant for you is not fragile. It cannot be stolen, lost, or missed. It waits for the moment when your heart is ready to receive it fully. And that readiness is born through trust, through surrender, through letting go of the fear that told you it might never happen. This quiet confidence becomes your strength. It shields you from the noise of comparison and the pressure of timelines. It frees you from the desperate need to control outcomes. It allows you to live with open hands instead of clenched fists. When your hands are open, blessings can finally rest in them instead of slipping away through the cracks of fear. Trust transforms your waiting from a place of frustration to a place of preparation. The silence stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like a sacred pause. You are not running out of time. You are not falling behind. What's yours is not passing you by. The path that seems still is not stagnant. It's simply aligning at a pace you cannot see but can trust. This is where transformation happens, not through force, but through faith. Not through rushing, but through resting. Not through fear, but through quiet surrender. When your soul learns to live in that stillness, you stop chasing life. Life starts finding you. And when it does, it meets you with perfect timing, perfect strength, and undeniable grace. When peace finally begins to take root in your heart, something extraordinary happens. The noise that once ruled your mind starts to lose its power. You begin to notice how much of your pain came not from what was happening, but from the way you kept fighting it. The struggle was never against life itself. It was against your resistance to its rhythm. When you stop resisting and start flowing, the same silence that once scared you becomes the very presence that heals you. You realize that peace isn't something you find. It's something you allow. It's what rises when you stop trying to control every moment and simply let the moment be. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring about what happens next. It means you stop allowing the unknown to rob you of peace in the present. The more you surrender, the clearer life becomes. The more you trust, the lighter everything feels. You stop needing to understand why things happen and start believing that every moment, even the confusing ones, are carrying you somewhere meaningful. The silence becomes your teacher, showing you how to breathe again, how to trust again, how to live without the constant weight of fear. This is where faith transforms from words into reality. Not because you received what you wanted, but because you learned how to rest before it arrived. You discovered the power of being still and knowing that what's meant for you is already unfolding. Every quiet moment becomes proof that you don't have to fight to be blessed. You just have to stay open enough to receive what's coming. That's where strength is born. In the waiting, in the trusting, in the stillness that no longer feels like emptiness, but like divine timing wrapping its arms around your life. You start to feel lighter, not because the storm is over, but because you finally stop standing in the rain begging it to end. You learn to dance in it. You learn to see the purpose in every drop. You stopped searching for signs that you were on the right path and began to trust that the path itself was being guided, even when you couldn't see where it led. This kind of peace is not loud. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, steady and quiet, reminding you that you are safe even when life feels uncertain. The moment you truly relax into that knowing, everything begins to align differently. The tension in your heart releases, the anxious thoughts lose their power, the need to rush fades away. You finally start to live in harmony with the flow of divine timing. Nothing feels forced. Nothing feels missing. You begin to realize that peace was never something to chase. It was the reward waiting for you the moment you chose to trust the silence. Peace doesn't always arrive in grand, visible waves. Sometimes it enters quietly like a whisper, testing whether your heart is truly ready to hold it. The most powerful moments are not found in noise, but in the subtle shifts that happen inside when your soul chooses trust over control. In that stillness, your spirit begins to expand. It no longer clings to outcomes. It no longer begs for certainty. It learns the strength of standing calmly in the middle of unanswered questions, knowing that the silence itself carries more truth than the chaos ever could. You begin to understand that control was never the key to peace. Surrender was. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that lets go of the illusion that everything must bend to your will. You stop chasing explanations for every hardship. You stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. In that release, something unshakable grows within you. A quiet confidence that doesn't need everything to make sense in order to keep walking forward. You no longer crave validation from the outside because the stillness within has become enough. Every moment you choose inner calm over reaction, you strengthen your foundation. Every time you breathe through the storm instead of fighting it, you prove to yourself that your power does not depend on what happens around you. It comes from the unbreakable core within you. That shift is where real transformation begins, not in loud declarations, but in silent, steady strength that cannot be shaken by uncertainty. It's in the pause between your doubts and your response, where you decide not to let fear dictate your destiny anymore. Your heart starts to recognize the difference between chaos and growth. What once felt like confusion now feels like sacred space for becoming. The pressure that used to make you anxious becomes the forge that shapes your strength. The silence no longer feels like emptiness. It feels like alignment. You realize you were never waiting on life to give you peace. Life was waiting on you to choose it. It was always available, always near, always ready to meet you the moment you stopped running from stillness. The more you lean into that inner quiet, the less you need to prove, the less you need to rush, the less you need to control. You start to move differently. You speak with a calm that cannot be faked. You walk with a steadiness that does not depend on circumstances. And in that quiet strength, your spirit begins to shine in ways it never could when it was trapped in noise. Peace becomes not a destination, but the very foundation on which everything else stands. It becomes the silent power that carries you through seasons of uncertainty with unwavering grace.